meeting. We have no appointments tonight, so we're just going to go through some business. First thing up is public comment number 1. Anyone here for public comment?
Yes,
Brent?
The recurring thing that is towards the end of the year, is that 2 POs that we can use for the building. I can go now, or I can do it during the recurring taxation thing.
Do it now.
Do it now.
Let's get it over with.
So, we had the groundbreaking ceremony on Sunday. Thank you for your support. We mentioned how much we appreciate all the Selectmen's work and their allowance to let the building committee do what we do and not be overbearing, but still coming to you with all the information that we have, so we're fully transparent in the process. With that being said, we have 2 purchase orders. One is for, and I discussed it with Chief Briggs over the past few weeks. So during the building process of a major building like this, we have to do several tests and inspections throughout the process. So Geo Technical Services Incorporated, we hired them to do the boring tests of the soil samples in the beginning last year. So they took care of that for us. They were lowest bidder at the time. Everything went well with that company. So moving forward, we have to do compaction testing. We have to do concrete testing, basically to make sure the building won't fall down in the next 50 years. We budgeted in the building the 4.6 total, $18,000 for this because we knew it was going to come down the pike. So Geotechnical Services Incorporated, GSI for short, was the low bidder for this as well. Knowing that they started the testing and the transition would be easy to continue with them, again, they were the low bidder. They're at $14,940. So they've worked with Bound before, no issues. So I recommend that we stick with that company, and that's what that is for. So we're still under budget by $3,100.
Do you need a motion to that effect?
I'd make a motion you continue to do business with Geotechnical Services, Inc. as being the low bidder.
And to sign the 2 POs that presented to us by the chief. I'll second that.
So that's only one of the POs.
Oh, that's one of them. Okay, I'm sorry. That was 14,940.
14,940, yeah.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Yes.
Briggs?
Over here, yes.
St. James?
Yes.
And Wilson?
Yes.
I messed up, it's Wilson.
Well, you would have voted yes, I'm sure.
Sure.
We don't know, but we...
Second PO, so because we're in the EPZ for Seabrook Station, we're allowed to have grant money from the state and Homeland Security. In order to do that, like the generator, we can't order the generator until it goes through the whole FEMA process, so all the construction people are on the same page with that. So that's being processed as we speak through FEMA. But we need to start picking vendors for the door access, the phones, all that stuff, so that I can meet with Paul Hatch, who's our Homeland Security rep, and we can start moving that grant line and getting money from the state. So we did pick, the building committee met 2 weeks ago, and we picked a door access control company, Hellmac Industries. They're out of Auburn, so they're local. They were the lowest bidder by tens of thousands of dollars in some cases. Their bid for full door access control, so the key cards, the keypads, was $23,867. We had budgeted $30,000 for that, again included in the $4.6 million. So the building committee made a motion to accept their estimate. So to lock in the price, since estimates are only good for usually 30 days, I would like to sign a PO for them as well. And they're also, this is part of the bid, but out of a show of good gesture, they're also donating or loaning us a time-lapse camera that we can install in the back of the station to keep track of,
The critters that roam the land.
well, more to keep track of the progress of the building. So we'll, at the end, when this is all done next May or June, we'll have a 10-minute video of every day, you know, a picture of the lot, so.
Make a motion that we approve purchase order for Pelmac Industries in the amount of $23,867.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call vote.
Alessio?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
St. James?
You're missing, yep, we know what Captain is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody knows.
Can I ask a question, Brown? Sure. We talked about the procedure on PO signing, just so you're not coming in here every time. I thought we decided that the building committee was gonna sign off on them and we were gonna check them. Was that for the building itself and not this type of stuff?
Well, the building itself.
Yeah, I thought that was for, so we actually, while I have both of you here, we have our first meeting is Thursday at 11 with the architect and the construction management team on site at 148. So, like, we already signed one for partial dirt work for $53,000, I think. So as those come in, right now we're gonna meet weekly, and every portion of the job that's completed, they'll give us, Bound will give us an invoice for. So that's where we meet, we go over it with the architect and all that
So
stuff.
is there gonna be a standard meeting time for that?
As of right now, I think it's Thursdays at 11.
Thursday, 11?
Yep. But I think it may move to earlier in the morning once SMP finishes up the extra library.
Okay,
But I'll keep you apprised. of that.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Beatty, you have something?
I do. I have, you had asked me for a list of old people. And then my only other comment is if anyone cares for my opinion, and since I wait on the majority of the people,
We're keeping them.
what?
You wanna get rid of them?
Yes.
I was gonna bring it up in the new business.
Okay, so that's just my opinion. I can't hear people, but not to buy a hearing aid.
Okay. You don't like it?
I don't. I'm tired of work, and I can't recognize it. So, that's just my opinion.
Birthday boy? Yeah. You want us to sing to you?
No.
Oh, no.
I've heard you sing before. Two things, my apologies for not being on the agenda, but they both came to me on Friday. First is the state of New Hampshire DOT sent us a letter or inquiry about our wants for the upgrades for Route 125 from basically Tractor Supply to the Bayberry, the old Hunt Road, Bayberry Variety intersection. Part of that is,
Mears Tractor.
Which one?
Mears Tractor, not Tractor Supplier.
yes.
Oh, Mears. Okay, Mears Tractor in Plaster then.
MB Tractor.
Yeah, in Plaster.
NB Tractor.
MB Tractor, sorry.
That's all right.
Anyways, they've got a few questions from the plans they sent me. I can't answer their questions. I'm gonna recommend that you let Chief Briggs and myself, and if there's anyone else that wants to be there, schedule a meeting with the DOT engineers, hash this out, and next Monday night come up with what we recommend the Board of Selectmen sends to the DOT, because we have a hearing coming up May 11th, which which would be a public hearing, which they need this information. What does the town want? What do the town fathers and mother want? But I can't
know
answer.
if they've taken any of your recommendations.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Yep. So Abby and I went and looked at where they, I think I reported to the board where they want to put, but they might not do that now.
Because they were talking about sidewalks there and a crosswalk or
We
something.
eliminated that.
Yeah, we did say that.
And this is for a swale to,
In front of the Broderick building?
right, and then they're gonna move it over between Dayham Motors,
Yeah.
and they've decided they may not even need that now. What this is they're talking about, and I went to Rich with it, I'm like, I don't understand what this means on this plan. Class 5,
Class 5, but it's a limited access Class 5 that's actually maintained by the landowner, which would be the golf course and the folks that live up on top of the hill there, which I don't completely, I've never heard of a Class 5 limited access right away.
I mean, that's where originally they were gonna make the roads line up and put in a stoplight.
they were originally going to Galloway's, yeah, but that's still eliminated.
The roads are still being lined up, basically at roadstone, but they're not putting a light there, and there's an access road that they want to know whether the town wants to make it a Class 5 or Class 6 road to access those two houses up on top there.
Oh, the granite road.
Yeah, Granite Road.
Yeah,
Okay, the house up on the hill, right there, yeah.
they're gonna connect it to the end of Kingston,
Kingston.
and eliminate the access on Broderick. And then the other one is now in front of,
From the information they gave us, I can't make a recommendation to you, so I want to meet with the state engineers and then get back to you. And then the Board of Selectmen is who needs to write the letter.
I think you've both always done a fine job of representing the town's feelings and beliefs.
Okay.
You know more than all of us combined, right?
this one was kinda confusing.
It's confusing me, so
There was something that Susan sent out this week.
Yes.
From Claxton, I mean,
Sad things that may be confusing on purpose.
Well, yeah, I gotta look at it.
It's terms I've never heard, so.
Yeah.
I just don't get it, so I don't know where the enabling legislation is. You get all those foolish questions. Second thing, that you've all noticed, there's a lot of utility work going on in town. That's the 5G upgrade for,
Consolidated.
Cable TV,
no, phone company, Consolidated.
consolidated, yeah.
So they approached me on Friday about underground conduit. I informed them that I would be talking to you folks tonight. Technically, if they do any digging, they need to get permission from the Board of Selectmen in the town right away. They need to be licensed. If you want to look it up, it's RSA 231-59 through 182. There's a whole process and procedure. I'm just wondering, do we want to hold their feet to the fire and make them do that? Do you want me to look at each individual case, as long as they're not crossing the road, if they're just doing a little bit of work beside the road? Are we okay with that? And the other thing is, for each one of these job sites, we can make them post a $5,000 bond, because anytime, there's lots of roads. Your road, no telephone poles, everything's underground. There's some of the new subdivisions are underground, so that there's a lot of places where to get from the house on this side, they lay the main cable down the right side of the road. To get to the houses on the left side, there's obviously pipe going underground. If there's a problem there, they have to dig the road up. Well, if you've ever driven through the roads in Exeter after they've just paved the roads and they've dug the roads all up, and the roads were a mess until the next time you pave them 15 years later. Especially if you don't make them post a bond. So,
I would be inclined to let you do it on a case by case, but get the bond for exactly that reason. But, I mean, I don't know what the RSA states, but I think it's gonna be limited, because I can't imagine, there's very little that's underground.
Or you'd be surprised.
Ryan, he is. All new.
All Main Street, Violet Street, Church Street,
All the newer developments are all new.
a lot of the more subdivisions.
I think my neighborhood has an extra conduit.
It was supposed to be done that way.
I think they do.
But they still got a cross.
If there's an extra conduit, so
No.
we don't need to let them dig up our roads. We can make them directional bore. We don't have to give them permission. It's clear in the laws. That's very expensive and time consuming. I'm not looking to hold them up. I'm looking to protect the infrastructure, that's all. It's taxpayers' money.
I think the bond would
Yeah, I
protect.
agree with Kevin. I think that's your jurisdiction and case by case and.
Right? Because the laws clearly say it's your jurisdiction.
Well,
Use your discretion as long as every,
we're just gonna turn around and ask you what to do, so.
as long as every cut is
I
bonded.
just want to get it out there, that's all. You know, I don't want to overstep my
We asked the
bounds.
representative to come in and speak to us. From
I-
Consolidated.
Should we ask for free streaming for 5 years for the town of Kingston residents that want it? I mean, this is a good thing.
It is a good thing, competition is great, I would hope that they're gonna come in with a low price and
Exactly.
what we're paying now,
That's what everybody's hoping.
but, yeah.
But like in my neighborhood, chief, the conduit goes from the pole to the first box, from that box it splits. And they don't have to cut the road in the neighborhood if the extra conduit's there.
Right.
And I think they ran extra conduit because I remember asking them why they ran 3 when they needed cable and power.
Ken Briggs and I always required it whenever it was underground.
Yeah.
We weren't there for every crossing, I can tell you that. But that's all I got, so that's the way I'll handle it. I will, let them know, they'll have to be case by case, and if they need to dig the road up, they need to contact me, and we'll go from that. We'll go from there. And if it's Main Street or something like that, and, I'm probably gonna tell them they need to directional bore it rather than, cut the road. If it's ditch work, we can deal with ditch work. That's it, thank you.
Liaison reports?
I did speak with Paul today. He happened to swing by the adult softball league, and he noticed that they were drinking the other day. He has since contacted the person that has the permit, and that person wasn't there, wasn't aware of it. Seemed pretty sincere in what the email response was. So I told him I would mention it to the chief to maybe next time have a cruiser pull it through. But other than that, that's it.
That's what you recommend as opposed to maybe a 30-day suspension of their ability to use the field?
I'm sorry, say again?
As opposed to having a 30-day suspension of them being able to use the field? You want to be Mr. Nice Guy. When they say they've been living there for 10 years, so why should they stop now?
I don't know if they have been drinking it for 10 years, it just happened to get caught.
Oh, pick me, I do.
I think
Question?
there's a legal issue that goes.
I think we need to do something. I think,
There's
I
a
don't
legal.
know if it's 30 days or 2 weeks, but I think we need to do the suspension to let them know that they violated and that we're aware of it and will not put up with it.
There's a legal issue that goes along with this, I'd like to talk to you about in public.
Okay.
Chief, sometimes we gotta draw the line in the sand, you know.
Oh, I agree, but there's a legal issue that's attached to this.
Yeah, right, I think I know what you're talking about.
Do you have anything, liaison? Or is it-
Yeah, that's it. No, nothing else.
You?
Yes. Kingston Days, your favorite committee. I had 2 questions here. We met last Thursday. some money besides just the cow patty patches. And I do have 5 for you anytime you're ready. They want to do what they call the lottery tree, where they sell lottery tickets. They give away lottery. They do a tree with lottery tickets on it. Is there any prohibition in our town regulations from Kingston Days Committee selling lottery tickets on the planes? Or tickets for a raffle that has lottery tickets in it?
We can do certain raffles, but lottery, if it's a lottery, I'd have to check for you.
Would you check that? Because that was, we weren't sure whether it was permissible, so I thought I'd ask you. And the other thing was that they're trying to find bands that are not gonna cost us anything. I know we've got, I think it's like $2,500 in the budget, which is half of what they had spent 2 years ago. But even with $2,500, it's not a lot, because I gather they pay $400 to $600 for a band, which is a lot of money for an hour's work on the planes. But be that as it may, they're trying to get away from that. They're trying to find bands that want an opportunity to shine in the sun and not pay a nominal fee. But the question was, can we pass the hat? Can a band play for nothing? We have a bucket for people to put money in. Is that illegal to do that?
Is anything ever wrong with that?
Pass the hat.
Pass the hat for the bands.
That's basically how they used to have bands, was the new people that wanted to get themselves out in the public.
Exactly.
I know a ukulele group that may be interested.
Oh, great. Oh. Oops, I forgot about you. Well, okay, I'll let them know that we know for sure. Well, if you could just let me know on the lottery tickets, that would be the only other thing. We understand about alcohol, but that didn't come up. It was the lottery tickets in case it fell to the same genre as the lottery alcohol. Thank you. That was it for. And then, of course, the ribbon cutting for fun.
I have one thing on the book committee. The book has gone to the printer.
Yay.
We're looking at an end of May, 1st of June delivery, if all goes well. They are coming up with different advertising schemes. One is to have a lot of
Promotion schemes is not a good word.
okay, promotion. One is to have different people reading the book and part of their ads. And one thing I brought up was to have the oldest person in Kingston reading the book. Somebody that probably lived a lot of the history that's in the book.
What are you looking at me for?
So you got a list of 10, is your name on that list?
But a couple other ideas, but if anybody comes up with anything you think will help promote this, and just for the public, we are ordering 750 books, and right now that's pretty much going to be it because the cost skyrockets to do like an extra 100 or whatever you want to do. So they are on a limited basis, so buy early,
And buy often.
buy often. I think we're getting close to 200 books sold.
Sold, okay.
So it's moving forward pretty good.
If you still have some available in August, you should come, have a table at Kingston Days.
We're planning on a table at Kingston Days. I've already talked to them. I talked to Ellen about having a table at the primary in June or whenever it ends up being, if the government.
It won't be this year, that'll be next year.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was one this year.
No, we're done.
That won't help. I hope they're gone by then. But anyway, any ideas we can come up with to help promote it? They're doing a bunch of advertisements on Facebook on a regular basis with teasers from the book that are pretty good. I mean, I've seen a couple of them already. And the book is fascinating. The book was reviewed for accuracy. It's got a lot of stuff in it the first book didn't have. I think everybody's going to be very impressed with it. And the quality of the book is outstanding.
I have to generate a list of people that have a lot of Facebook friends, if you will. So
Well, I
they
do.
share.
I do, so
Well, make sure I get some of those postings, or tag me or something, because I don't go through everything all the time. So I'd be happy to share frequently.
Okay. And just for the record, our oldest citizen, according to the record, was born April 19th, today, 1922.
And it's not rich.
It's not rich.
Today's his birthday, that's all that's
So I think that's kind of funny that I asked for the list today, his birthday is today.
Can I ask who it is?
Hmm?
Who is it?
Who is it? I'll tell you who it is later. I don't know if we should announce that in the air.
All right.
Mr. Coombs, you can take over the meeting. That was liaison reports.
Okay. Did this letter get distributed?
Yep.
Yes.
Everybody get to read it?
Yes, it's good.
Skimmed it.
So it was got a lot of information from going out there, meeting with the engineers, meeting a couple times with Rich, doing some site walks of my own. Definitely the engineers were very complimentary of how our highway department's handled this. You know, they have a lot of people who aren't up to date on their paperwork and things like that, and we are ahead of the curve on this. When we went out there, they saw a lot of maintenance work that had taken place last year, so I do want to take a moment to just give a kudos to Rich and his guys for the great work they've done up there. So his primary concern when he brought me in on this was that, one, he wanted, you know, someone from the select board to at least have eyes on this, because Mark was one of the champions of this and he's no longer on the board, so, you know, got a lot of the history on it and just kind of the current issues. So his primary concerns were, and in talking, my concerns were the water level rising with the river, either through, you know, a down tree or a beaver dam being put in or something like that, where it would raise the level of the water. It's an unlined landfill, so that would be very bad. In meeting with the engineers, the water levels have been pretty static, and I think it's just going to be a matter of just oversight on that, you know, beyond just what the engineering firm is doing, is just kind of keeping an eye on the river and making sure that it's flowing properly, and that we keep that down. The other issue is soil erosion, leading to a failure of the cap material, just basically slides or just, you know, the material on top of the cap coming off and exposing the cap, and then, you know, degrades it, could peel up. And then the other thing is wildlife infiltration. What's been a problem up there is groundhogs have been moving in, digging burrows, and then coyotes will move in and dig them out and make the hole a lot bigger, and then we get rain, and that can cause problems. The other thing is just soil erosion in general. So the water level thing, I think, is just needs to be monitored. The wildlife thing, Rich has been using his guys when it's been a problem. I think the way we can monitor it better is to keep the grass down.
Shorter.
Yeah, so that coyotes aren't going to move unrestricted when they're wide out in the open. And then with regards to the soil erosion on the top, if you go to the top, I tried to put pictures in here, but unfortunately just made the file too big, and I had to send it to Susan anyway. But the top is just basically spreading out, because that's where all the water hits and runs off, and it's just kind of turning to sand. This was all loam topsoil material that was placed on here, but essentially we've had it up there for 2 decades with no fertilizer, you know, no grazing. It's just been mowed once a year, knocked back, and that's all there is to it. So essentially all the nutrients in the soil are kind of washing away. I don't think the board is in the mood to spend money on fertilizer for something so we can mow it more. Just to say we did.
Well, it's kind of defeats the purpose though, doesn't it? We want it, it has to have something, if this lasted 20 years, to put a little more soil up there. I mean,
I think the soil isn't the issue. I think it's more just soil amendments, you know, just adding fertility to what we have. So we can add fertilizer, you know, regular fertilizer, and kind of figure out like every 2 years or something like that. The other option is that we could graze animals up there, so they would not only keep it mowed down, but fertilize it while they're up there. And I can give you links to explain the process further, but it actually generates growth. The more it's eaten down, as long as it's controlled and then moved frequently, that does kind of encourage you want, grasses, things like that. What's happening up at the top is you're getting a lot of these just non-desirable plants that grow in sand. You pretty much see them in
Weeds.
Everywhere.
just weeds that kind of choke out everything else. So those are the two options. We can either start fertilizing it and mowing a little more regularly, or turning out animals up there and just moving them. CMA was in favor of either. Their only concern with the animals was them making paths to the water. So it would have to be moved regularly. I didn't want to get it, obviously I have a farm, and that's why I was looking at this from this perspective. I can certainly draw a proposal to do that for the town. I just wanted to do this more to kind of close out what I found when I was up there. And I think, honestly, I was nervous about it because I say right in the letter, full disclosure, I'm the immediate downstream of butter, so I probably have more to lose from that thing failing than anything. But
So does the town too, so no question.
I would be the immediately hit one, but the town would pay in the end.
Exactly.
So I think what I'd like to see is just a long-term solution, whether it's whatever the board wants to do. And I can certainly, from a grazing perspective, I can propose that to the board. I just wanted to close this out and I think if we keep it mowed down through mowing or grazing, that would cut down on the coyotes getting in there, that would cut down on the woodchucks moving around in there with impunity. A couple minor things like fixing the fence and just, spreading some soil would probably help at the top, but we're gonna be right back in the same situation again because it's the top of a bald hill.
So grazing would be the best of the two.
I mean, obviously I'm preferential to
I
that,
understand.
but
They do it in a lot of places. I mean, a lot of states do it on their highways.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We obviously are gonna have some bloom in town, in the fire station. What's the deal with all that bloom that we're taking?
That was part of the,
Was it part of the deal that he gets the loan?
that's right.
A lot of times it is, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to truck a whole bunch of soil up there. I think it's just, and I mean, I also put in for a barn easement, so you guys would be out to my property to do a site visit for that. I can show you what we've done out there with something that was in a similar situation, fairly depleted of nutrients and things like that, and where it is now, even with the low amount of rain we've had. I do think that would work up there in the right conditions. And, CMA was in agreement with that, other than their concern of just paths being worn down, for water and things. But I can say from my operation is, we move every 24 hours, so they're never in the same spot. And, I don't know, I just figured I'd present this and just see what the board's.
I have to ask, I'd like to see both information if it's possible. So I'm wondering which is the quicker and more sustainable.
Well, there's two answers to your question. One's quicker, one's more sustainable.
Well, I have both questions, I guess. Which is the faster approach?
I mean, if you spread commercial fertilizer or, petroleum-based fertilizer on there, and, it would green right up and probably turn things around right away. You probably have to mow, I would say, probably, depending on how much rain you get, at least twice a year, if not 4 times a year. Keep that down. I can tell you probably every other year you have to do a fertilizer application because you still have that set in the soil that runs off. Whereas with the grazing aspect, the animals are working the fertilizer into the soil through the movement of their hooves. So that's actually getting it tilled into the soil without having to bring equipment in to do it, because you can't really have equipment out there. I mean, you could have a tractor spreading fertilizer, but that would be about it. And yeah, when I said, when they graze it, it's not going to be like it's mowed. There are going to be little patches that are taller than other ones, but they can also go places that the mower can't, like into the swale and those grasses where they turn into
So how would you do that? How would you have to put a fence? Because are they actually going to go to the top of the hill, or are they going to do the whole mound and just?
No, so, I mean, there's a chain link fence around the entire perimeter of the landfill. That's relatively intact. But I would subdivide that into daily rotations, just with electric wire.
Yeah.
And posts that go in there are moved. But,
I can see a combination of both. You know, you do phase fertilizer for a quick reaction, and then you bring the grazing animals in later in the summer, depending on the weather. But if we have a super dry summer, then that's not an issue anyway. But one of the water issue is that the approval for the warehouses, they have to monitor the water levels. So we'll send a check.
Is that going to be part of this, or somewhere else you're looking to do it?
my concern with this was to just make sure the landfill was not in danger.
Okay.
There weren't any potential pitfalls in the future for the landfill. And I mean, personally, I feel that we're in a good spot with the landfill. I think if we want to be in a better spot long-term, we should take some action.
Could I just ask if you can get us the information and just so we can take a quick peek at it before we vote? Is that possible?
As with regards to the transfer station?
No, not the transfer. I'm jumping all over the place, I guess. Well, yeah, I want to make fertilizing versus putting animals on.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't want to bog that all down into this, so I can absolutely draft up a proposal for that, and I'm sure that, you know, Rich can get you quotes on fertilizer costs.
I mean, that was gonna be my thing, is I'd like to see what the cost to fertilize that. It's gotta be a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to do 4 applications a year, you could do 1, but it's still gonna be a lot of money.
And cut it, you gotta pay to cut it, but still, I'd still like to see it.
We have some money set aside for.
Yeah, and we do. There's money in that, and I mean, I can tell you that I've worked with municipalities doing, you know, contract agriculture work for them, grazing and things like that. Because I have a vested interest in the town, not having an issue with the landfill and the proximity to my land, I would charge for that. I haven't in the past, but I would in this spot.
I have to pick up something for a medical issue for a friend of mine, and I'll be back, because the pharmacy closes at 8.
Actually, if we leave.
Yes, yes, I'll be back, guys.
But yeah, absolutely, I can get that for the next meeting. I just wanted to get this information out there. And again, I do want to say that Rich has done an amazing job up there. The engineers are very complimentary of him and the work that these guys have done. And I did speak to the Magnusons and a couple of the other butters, and they all, you know, were very happy with how things have been out there. So I don't want that to be lost in this, you know. There are some things we can do moving forward, and that's why Rich approached me on it, is because he had these ideas as well. It's not me just coming up with this was his concerns as well, so. If we take it from the landfill, it's time to get rolled back to it.
Yeah. No, I think we're gonna have to redo that, but it's good to know that it's in better shape than, you know, it's in comparable shape, put it that way. And then I would like to still move forward, because I think there is a need for a transfer station. Looking at that, when we go to bid for trash service or not, I don't know when the time to take it up, but I know you mentioned that in the past, and I've just been waiting to see where it was gonna go, but it's still something I'm interested in.
Yeah, so Rich has been getting the information to me on that. I've just got a few too many irons in the fire right now to focus on that. I figured we had time before Waste Management's contract is up.
2 more years?
I believe we have 1 more year.
Yeah, I think
So it's October will be the start of the last year. Does that sound right?
I think so.
So if that's correct, we need to start talking to people.
Oh, they're gonna come talk to us, I'm sure.
Well, no, I mean, other companies.
Yeah, no, I think if we went out to RFP, you'd be surprised, I'm sure we'd get a lot of bids. But to be incorporated in there, because that's what it kind of would be a recyclable type thing. Because the other thing I'm concerned, I haven't heard anything on John's Auto and Truck, but I know that's kind of a little bit of a problem for them, but they're handling it right now. But eventually, the town should, it's great they're doing it, and I really appreciate that, but, you know, that's something where it doesn't matter what you write or say, people are going to put the wrong stuff in there.
It's gotten a lot better though. I've been going down there on a regular basis and talking to them. It's a lot better than it was. I mean, when they changed over, everybody was still putting everything in there because they didn't realize they changed over. And I just put appliances in there with, like 3 different trucks. And, you know, they clean it up pretty often. And
Basically, any metal.
going out, water heaters,
Batteries can go in there as well.
I think they'll take tires too, but not there. They take them out front.
Tires, batteries, metal goods.
That is on the website, right?
I believe so.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, as far as the transfer station in front there, I want to see a drawing, because they were showing, when we met out there with the engineers, they were kind of explaining the boundaries. There really isn't much depth before you start hitting that landfill.
Yeah.
So whether that is the ideal spot for it or not is...
There's nothing that says it has to be there. It could be possibly the highway garage's land or somewhere else. It's just, it's a...
I don't think we want it there once the warehouse opens.
Yeah.
I
Too much
suppose
there.
the only plus of it being there once the warehouse opens is there would be potentially a traffic signal.
That's true too.
So, but we got one building committee winding down, so we got a new project.
Call Mark for a while, see.
So no, that's where we're at. If you think of any other questions on it, and again, I can drop that other proposal. I've got a couple links on just how using ruminants grazing does, you know, the long-term benefits of the soil. So be happy to share that information.
I've seen it work. Having the lambs, and I mean, my yard looked like a putting green when they were finished.
Yeah,
They keep it low and solid.
It's good. It's a good thing when the end result is pretty impressive. Onto town land.
Well, there's a letter in the packet from the people we sent the letter. My only concern with their response, I'm happy to hear that he didn't pull the marker out, but he did grade over it. I would disagree with his assessment that his neighbors don't have an issue. I think they were being polite to him. If I went to my neighbor and asked him, hey, do you care if I park my bus there? Of course they're going to say, no, I don't care. The purpose of that property was for a community playground for that neighborhood. Now, it's just benefiting that individual with the driveway. And we're already having problems everywhere else with people using town-owned land. I say we continue with the course we've taken and tell him he needs to remove all that grading that he put and bring it back to some sort of education and remind him that he can't park that, he can't put a driveway on his property within 50 feet of 20 feet of a boundary, so that he doesn't put it on the other side. But I would disagree with his assessment, and I would not be looking to allow him to go 2 more years using town-owned property.
I agree.
And rather than send a letter, I would say a phone call to Rory, or I make a phone call, or maybe Susan, whatever, it doesn't matter to me, but I think just polite, he acknowledged everything. So it's just, nope, town's not interested, it's a community land, not for you to benefit from it.
Yeah, I think it was set aside for a purpose.
Right.
And it wasn't for a park, it was for stormwater, management. And so the fact that it's been dry for 20 years tells me that something's probably plugged up further upstream more than anything
Yeah.
else. But, yeah, I just don't think that's, if we're adhering to our own rules, that's not a piece of land we can sell.
Right. So I would have been more than happy to sell it, and that's where I was going with it, but Do you want Susan,
I agree with Kevin.
do you want Susan to follow up with that, or with just a phone call?
Yeah, I don't think we need to take a vote on anything because it's
Yeah.
nothing we can do.
Just not
He
change.
addressed a lot to you when you got a relation, but if it turns different, if he wants to talk to me, he can call me if he wants. Give him my 642-3671 number.
Everybody else does too now.
Okay, we've got a letter from the building inspector regarding pool with some grass circle.
I think the letter from the building inspector speaks. They can say all they want that it's confusing, but it's just funny how a plot came that moved a boundary 25 feet. So I say, nay, it's county area, and if they want to take a support, they can take a support, but he's asking for some of this opinion, and I think it's time to go with something.
Concur with that. Anybody else?
I agree with that too.
Susan, would you bring that to his attention, please?
Okay. So there.
Because if we don't do anything too, is everyone else is going to want to take up the pond. It's another one and done.
No, we had to go through this, the folks over at King's Landing, and they came in and just altered some of their common areas, just not even larger, but just moving from one spot so they were on top of a propane tank, so everybody else is following those rules. We gotta do it. Sean Drive.
I spoke with Rich about signage.
And what was his opinion?
He was gonna go look at it.
Okay. Is that the limit of it? Okay. New business. Barn easements. Do I recuse myself on this one?
You can talk about it, but I think we should just set an appointment to go look at all properties.
I agree with that.
Yeah, we haven't had one in 2 or 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Once it's up in there.
So I would say, I don't know if we could do 3 in one Monday night, but maybe 2, 1, and then, another one or something.
Are you talking about the public hearings? Or
No, go and look at it first, then have the hearing.
and-
Isn't that what you suggested?
Yeah.
So
That's how we did it last time, I believe.
you might want to do the earliest one that came in, was the Lake Burgess one. And there's a time frame when you need to respond within 60 days. So I would say you want to do that one first, just make sure you fit it all in.
Yeah.
And I would say the first public hearing should be on May 10th. And then if I know that, I can get the ad in the paper.
I mean, I'd say Monday night, an hour before the meeting or something.
How quick do we need to do it?
I think it's gotta be in fairly soon, because we're in a time frame.
One thing I was gonna suggest is that next Monday, we have a daytime meeting instead of night, because he won't be here to televise. And we could do something maybe after that meeting.
Yeah, we ran into a problem last time, as we were running and gunning, trying to get to this meeting, and we were still half hour, 45 minutes late, and we didn't even get to see all the.
We could have that meeting at 9 o'clock, spend an hour in the meeting or whatever, and then go out and do as many as we have time for.
Let me just take a quick peek.
So next Monday's a daytime meeting.
Well, let's see if Kevin's working this week, check it.
I'm not working, but let me see. I could do a meeting next Monday.
What did you say, 9 a.m. to start?
That's up to everybody else, the earlier the better for me. But you have chores, so.
So that's the 26th, is that correct?
Yes, it's Monday the 26th. What time works for you?
I can do that, that's fine.
9 a.m.?
Nine's fine.
And then, do we know what the agenda looks like right now, Susan?
Right now, it's not much of anything, that's why it's a good time.
Maybe we could see if 10:30, go visit some bars?
Why don't we say when the meeting's over?
Well, as long as people are there, I guess, I was just, I don't right, so yeah, do 9 o'clock meeting next Monday. And after the meeting, we'll go visit all three of them.
Yeah.
I'll let Ernie know and Heritage people, because I think they want to.
Just because it's a daytime meeting doesn't mean we can go over and talk for 5 hours, right?
No, we can't.
So Ernie, did you hear that? Ernie's on Zoom.
Who's on there?
Ernie Land.
Ernie's on there?
Yep.
Okay, good.
I know, they're talking about the barn easements and going to do site walks, next Monday after the meeting, so they meet here at 9.
Approximately 10:30.
So probably 10:30-ish, they'll be starting, to do as many as possible, did you say, possibly all of them, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's only
There's only 3 and it shouldn't take long, right? So, to set up we'll have to call them and make sure they're all available. And I'll let you know. Okay.
Since I jumped to that, there's a schedule in here for summer meetings and then the months with fifth Mondays. You said you want to see where we go.
I would just, next week's meeting, let all the department heads know
Yeah,
that it's gonna be
that's
then, so they can all, yeah.
Now, do we want them all there, or do we want them there if they have something they want to talk about?
I think the whole purpose was setting it up so they could be there, so.
Invite everybody at 9 o'clock, okay?
Yeah, if nothing else, we can just hammer the format of the meeting out.
And talk about it, see what they see the need for it, not need, or whatever, you know. Their input.
Then everybody see the summer meeting schedule.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna go by. We're gonna go by this.
That's good to me. And obviously, we wouldn't do the fifth Monday being Memorial Day, but I believe it's 3 other meetings.
Yeah.
I mean, we could consider one we're doing next week for the Memorial Day.
Yeah, I mean, that's better than quarterly, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have that many issues, hopefully.
So, do we need to adopt this or vote on it or anything, or just do it?
We need times.
No, it's gonna be the same, the daytime meetings, I guess, but, I don't know.
We'll do them all at 9 o'clock.
So we're not meeting on the 31st, that's correct.
That's Memorial Day.
Right.
We wouldn't meet anyway.
Right. But I see that in there.
Just to show it's Memorial Day, so we would meet.
Right. You know, we have a parade, a vehicle parade that day, right? Everybody know that?
Okay.
So the 29th, June 29th, August 31st, and November 30th.
We'll set them up for 9 a.m.
November 30th.
9 a.m. And maybe to be modified depending on
Yeah.
that first
Be
meeting.
flexible with it, right?
Yeah, you may want to wait until next Monday to post it, just so we see if anybody has any
Okay.
thoughts or.
Good with that? Okay. So, code complaints. This came up in the inspector's meeting, regarding some of the junkyards, some of the inspectors were asking questions about ones that you and I had gone and looked at, and then Ellen had brought the point that why weren't we sending a letter? And I guess, and it was a valid point. I said, Ellen, I just wanted to clarify. So how I saw it, and I don't want to act unilaterally, but what I explained to the inspectors and the rep for the planning board was that, if it's a complaint that one of us receives, or it comes through the typical complaint channel, or in the past, what we've done is try to make contact with the person, in person, and just, hey, this isn't allowed, here's what you gotta do to rectify it, or, just a conversation to educate them on it. And then a letter after that, then a letter with fines after that, and then more severe things. Whereas if it was coming from the planning board as a complaint, it's already a violation, it's already something we know, that's typically a letter just right off the bat. And I wanted to try and kind of get a procedure going for that so that, again, so we're treating everybody fairly, but I did feel that if it's just a complaint from anyone, or just someone brings it to our attention, I think we've been successful just reaching out to people and trying to educate them on the rules. So, I don't know if anyone had any questions on that?
I think we want to just review this and talk about it next meeting.
Yeah, this is very rough, so I'm sure you're going to want to make some changes to how it's set up.
Yeah, and I think this is also, as we're bringing a code enforcement officer on, this is also a good template for them to follow. People legitimately had concerns that someone was going to be kicking in doors, and I personally don't want to see changes in our current procedure. So, but yeah, why don't we take a look at this, and if you have changes, we can get them to Susan and
Back.
board business.
Something else on the new business I can add? Sure. On the new business, I'd like to talk about, the governor has lifted the mask mandate, and he's going to be looking at ending the safer at home when that expires in May. I think I'd like to revisit, anyways, our policy of mask wearing in the mandate. I think it's being someone that's vaccinating people right now, everyone I talk to, you are able, if you look online, you can get an appointment within 3 days right now. So those that want to be vaccinated, can be vaccinated, or already have one shot in the arm. And I think I'm ready to at least to talk about stopping the mandate in the building here. They can wear it if they want. But I don't think we should mandate it.
I have a couple issues with that. One is health officer. I still get things from the state of New Hampshire saying that they're recommending masks, not mandating, but recommending.
Yeah.
But if the 6 foot can be maintained.
Right.
If they cannot maintain the 6 foot, then they want mask used. And it's very hard in the hall downstairs to maintain 6 feet between people going in and out. So I think it's still early. I agree with doing it, but I think it's still a little bit early until we see the trend.
The schools are limited to 3 feet now.
Well, that's the school.
Right. I just think, those that want to wear it can still wear it. There's nothing that says they don't have to wear a mask.
I'd like to see us hold on to a little bit longer. I'm not saying a year or 6 months, but I think it's a little bit early to remove the restriction of wearing a mask. That's not to say that someone goes to the window and Tammy or someone says you don't have to have it on if I can't hear you too well. That's fine. That's an individual. They're at the place and they're conducting business. But I think it's still too early.
Our numbers are still going up.
They're still going up, exactly correct. And I'll grant you some of the cases of the young kids that are partying. I understand that, but I think I'd rather err on the side of caution. Even if, let's revisit it in 6-8 weeks and, the end of May, let's take a look at it, or for the 1st of June and revisit that. But
I think you may get complaints downstairs where the hallway is so narrow, and you have some people that are going to be wearing masks, some are not. So it's going to be, I think it's still going to be a problem for us because you can't get that 6 feet across the hallway.
But if they have masks on, it kind of keeps anything. And we haven't had, knock on wood, any outbreak here in the town hall, and I'd like to keep it there. Let's give it a little more time. That's all I'm asking.
I would agree with that.
So, is the board okay with the health officer reviewing our current guidelines and reviewing them and bringing it to the board for revision? I think there are some things as far as quarantining and all that stuff needs to be.
That has changed.
Updated, yeah, okay. I suppose.
That's changing as more people are getting vaccinated, you're broadening out on the area that you can visit, so yes, I'll do that.
Okay.
And I get things probably twice a week from the governor's office about changing that. And we aren't adapted to the changes as quick as they're happening.
Okay, so it's time to take a look at it then, for sure.
I think we have some policies in place that probably need to go away.
Yeah.
I think.
Or at least be altered.
Yeah, on the mask thing, I think the hallway is a choke point where people just are gonna be right near each other, and more than anything, the liability of it is my concern, but I would also defer to the health officer.
I mean, I kind of agree with you in that one aspect, but because of the hallway, I mean, places like Hannaford's, I told the manager there, they said they're still gonna require, at least for another month.
When you realize we haven't had any outbreaks of flu because we've all been wearing masks, that's a huge statement in terms of how disease and germs spread. I'm not saying we should wear masks all the time. I certainly have health issues that preclude me wearing it 24/7. By the same token,
And I really think we're gonna have a large number of people that never take their mask off.
and that may be the case, and that would be their choice when
Right.
appropriate. I don't have a problem with that, but I think it's just too soon to lift it.
Yeah, I was just gonna stop breathing altogether. Way more convenient.
Well, I'm gonna be around to bust your chops a little bit more, so I'm gonna have to take mine off so I can get some air in.
No, I appreciate you bringing that up. I think it's something that needs to be reviewed, but I think we need to. We've had someone who's been in charge of that portion of things from the beginning, and I would say we continue to allow them to do it.
We can revisit it again at the end of May. Let's see let's give it a shot and go on.
Anything else? Okay. Summer meeting schedule we've covered.
I'm guilty of that, I have two.
Yeah, so this is a reminder that if you have your signed and completed evaluations, they need to be turned into Cindy. I'm one of them.
I have two also.
So there is a letter that Susan has drafted, we've drafted.
This is a very well written
So you
letter.
did a very nice job of
I thought it was a very good letter, I'll say that.
appreciation for our volunteers. Yeah, I thought that was very good.
And I hope that once we're past the COVID and everything else, we can do something for,
I would agree. We need to do something for our staff and our volunteers.
In the interim, though, I'd like to read this letter just for the viewing public. So this is to all the Kingston volunteers who serve on the numerous committees. In honor of Volunteer Appreciation Week, we would like to recognize the many volunteers who give generously of their time and talent to make Kingston a great place to live. It is not easy to find the time to volunteer when life is already full of work and family responsibilities, but our town is blessed with many people who manage to do just that. All of our boards, committees, and subcommittees play a part in keeping the town running safely, efficiently, and in the best interest of its residents. We would not have special events, orderly development, access to unspoiled natural areas, conservation of our heritage and rich history, organized oversight of our budgets and spending, or dozens of other benefits without our legion of unpaid homes. Your faithful attendance at endless meetings and doing all the research, tasks, and documentation that go along with them goes largely unappreciated. In fact, you may at times face criticism from residents and others when the rules you are sworn to uphold or the considered decisions you make are inconvenient or unpopular. The dedication and perseverance it takes to continue at difficult times is commendable. As your select board, we appreciate your efforts on behalf of our town, and we are here to support and assist you. You have our sincere gratitude for all you do. Sincerely, the Kingston Select Board.
That's great.
Just wanted to read that for the people at home that if you're thinking of volunteering, please do.
And you've got a master copy of this for us to sign so we can sit down.
Yeah, I think I put one in the orange folder, either that or they're all the same, just pick one and sign.
But they're one minor change.
Oh, okay.
So we'll stop at your office
We'll stop.
tomorrow and sign it.
So we could sign it next Monday morning.
Well, this is the week now,
We'll do it before we leave tonight.
but, okay. It's a simple change, I can do that.
Okay.
Okay, public comment number 2. Anyone? Okay, correspondence. Tour mail, excavation permit.
First of all, I guess there's a couple issues there. One is I went down and talked to the secretary, and she's going to start sending Susan notifications on all blasting, so we're developing an email list to send to people so they get notified twice, because all they do is notify immediate abutters, maybe a little bit beyond that, but they don't notify far into Jericho people that want to know, so they're going to start doing that. Missed CJ twice, and he's going to call me so we can go back and see what the progress is on the berm. This intent to excavate, we sign that every year. They have to have that so they can pay their taxes and everything. I don't know why we haven't been signing it. That needs to be signed.
I know. It was a spirit of God.
As far as the notifications, I can put it on the website, but if anyone wants to subscribe to that information, it's just gonna be.
Yeah, I'd say the website and to email it to everybody. I've been trying to tell people that have contacted me that we're starting an email list,
Okay.
so we can send it out.
They can also go to subscribe.
Like I said, the fire department's supposed to get 24, 48 hour notice. 24.
At minimum.
So if you talk to them, they should be able to update you if the secretary forgets to.
Yeah, we should, I believe it's a minimum of 24, but they're usually sooner than that. The blasting company will contact Graham, so.
Yeah, I would think they'd have some sort of a schedule ahead of time.
And she's also using the blasting company notifying people, so we're going to notify us, so.
I don't want to make it too complicated, but if people are interested and they subscribe to town news and announcements, that's where I'm going to put it.
So we're reappointing the fire station building committee.
As is.
Can I ask why?
They're expired.
Are they still,
Well, we still meet.
alright, so we have reappointments to the fire station building committee and the conservation committee, so let's start these.
Lots of signatures.
Do you, I was just, would you want to stay on that versus, like I was on it because I was a liaison way back in the day, but then I couldn't make the meeting, so you stepped in.
I stayed on it until it's finished, yeah.
Okay, we got Ken's junkyard license, which is good to sign. Susan, this one for,
What is it?
cemetery. This is a trustees thing, isn't it? Or do we have to vote to accept these funds?
Oh, I can't remember. I think I got it from Cindy. What's my little note on there saying? Sometimes I don't.
Oh, okay. This is going to the Kingston Ambulance Service. Sorry,
Oh, it's to approve for them to,
sorry, I was at the trustees meeting and the same person had donated.
it's
for
something to do with
else.
a grant or that you need to approve.
Chief Briggs and I plan on attending 4 or 5 places tomorrow. It's delayed Friday because of the weather. We'll give you an outcome on that Monday too.
Okay. Is there any issue with accepting $200 Frances L. Swallow.
They sent that to the town.
Yeah, she named us in her will. Her name in it.
Most times
Did you know that she's a wonderful lady, very
It's a
interesting.
volunteer.
I did not know.
Yeah, she was very interesting.
Any issue with that? Okay. Building demolition permit for the building that's already been demolished.
Yeah. Has to be done so we can get the assessor to correct our property
Take it off
files.
the books.
Okay. This flag football,
Yeah, that's something new, so it wasn't listed on the agenda, but it's a new field use request, and it's 4 practices. And so we just need to know if you want to charge them a nominal fee just for maintenance or whatever, or not.
Did that go through Paul Butler first? or-
Yeah, he brought it today, and he did seem to think that it was necessary to charge them a fee, but it's entirely up to you whether you want to charge them something or not. So, don't have it in front of me.
What's this for?
flag football over at Como Field.
Oh,
What's the organization?
it's the
Chico's Youth Flag Football.
It's just a kid. It's a kids league for Kingston. Actually, he wants to do a Como Field because I thought he was looking
I
to
think
do it
it's
at
at
the
Fairgrounds.
Plains.
Field at the old fairgrounds.
Okay, yeah. It's just it's a pickup league for the kids in the school, I think.
Okay, take a motion on the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for public and non-public of April 12th with an amendment. Where it talks about page 2, 4th paragraph, Mr. Butler did not decide to hold off. I was just reporting he's not sure what he wants to do. On the 4th paragraph, it says, Mr. Butler has decided to hold off. He doesn't know what he wants to do yet, and he will get back to us.
Okay, so you want to change that to say that he's...
Yeah. Mr. Butler will get back to us on what he intends to do. Can I ask a question? Like, I'm seeing names now, the Conservation Commission, don't we call these people in?
We stopped that because of COVID.
Yeah, I'd like to see some of these new people. What we did last time was they were all reappointments. There's some new people here. I remember this Elizabeth Mello.
She's been over there for years.
Has she?
Yeah, she
Those are all.
Yes, somehow.
They were all reappointment? Okay. I just,
Shabbat Slaughter, maybe we'll get the courage to call him in.
what?
Shabbat Slaughter.
Well, Sean Tolkien was on the candidates night. He did a nice job, if I remember correctly.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're all reappointments.
Okay.
And we have an item for non-public discussion.
Yes,
Legal
we do.
matter.
The last thing is to remind everybody that tomorrow night is planning board meeting with Saddle Up and 19 Page Road.
It's 19 Page Road, the corner of Gilman.
What are they going for?
An additional unit.
I have to say, and I don't mind saying it publicly, Mr. Caldwell has done a nice job cleaning
Done
it.
very
I will agree. That is what.
I never expected it, but he did.
Looks like
Yep.
sure does, and I give him a lot of credit for cleaning it up.
I would concur with that statement. yeah. Just remind people that next week's meeting is 9 a.m.
And we will not be meeting Monday night then.
Right. And then we're gonna do Barnes afterwards, if you wanna go on. Sit in the car, look at it.
I'm making guys lunch.
Okay, that will conclude the televised portion of this evening's meeting. Thank you for joining us.
That's how you sign.